Hello my dear students, welcome to your psychology class. So today we are going to start our second chapter, that is methods of enquiry in psychology. So in the first chapter we learned psychology is the study of experiences, behavior and mental processes. So now you may be curious about how these phenomena are studied. What are the methods they use to study this phenomena? So that is what we are going to deal in this chapter, methods of enquiry in psychology. And we will also deal with the goals of psychological enquiry, the steps that we use in scientific research, and then the methods of psychological enquiry, what is the methods of analyzing data, then the limitations of psychological enquiry, and also the ethical considerations. So in this video we are going to discuss mainly two topics, that are goals of psychological enquiry and steps in conducting research. So the first topic, goals of enquiry in psychology. Let us start with enquiry first. Enquiry basically means any kind of investigation that you do, or any kind of research that you do, or any problem that you study in a scientific manner. So any kind of investigation, any kind of research, any kind of research, or any problem that you study. In a scientific manner. So enquiry means any kind of investigation that you do, any kind of research that you do, or any problem that you study in a scientific manner. So that is psychological enquiry. And for psychological enquiry there are mainly 5 goals. There are mainly 5 goals of psychological enquiry, because unlike any other scientific research or knowledge, psychology has got scientific basis for studying enquiry or doing any experiment or any data collection. So let us discuss the first goal of psychological enquiry, that is description. Okay, first of all, these are the 5 topics or 5 goals of psychological enquiry: description, prediction, explanation, control and application. These are the 5 goals of psychological enquiry: description, prediction, explanation, control and application. Now let us discuss the first goal, description. In this particular goal, the researcher or psychologist try to describe the behavior that they are going to study. They describe the behavior here. They describe the behavior that they are going to study in the research. So every behavior is different, right? So the signifying or separating the type of behavior is very important, or the explanation of that particular behavior is very important. For example, if the research is going to study about the behavior of class 11 psychology students, the behavior of class 11 psychology students, it is a vast scenario. Okay, it includes behaving with teachers, behaving with their classmates, behaving their academic behavior, or behavior with the school management. So all these behaviors comes under this particular scenario of behavior of studying the behavior of class 11 psychology students. All these behaviors comes under this. So, in a description, what the researcher do is they describe that particular behavior that they are going to study. Suppose they are going to study the behavior of children with the teachers. So, then they will explain that particular behavior, then they will observe that particular behavior, they will come to the analysis, that is it. So, our point is that within a particular category there may be future minute descriptions. Within a particular category there may be future minute descriptions. So, this is our point. Within a particular category there may be future minute description. Another example, if the researcher is going to study about the study habits of children, many other behaviors comes under this. Suppose attending the class regularly, or submitting the assignment on time, or their amount of time they use for study, or the revising your work on a daily basis. So, all these comes under a particular category of study habit. So, that is our point. Within a particular category there may be future minute description. So, a psychologist need to describe the particular behavior that they are going to study, and the description also includes the recording of a particular behavior. Recording of the particular behavior. So, here in the first goal we understood the data accurately and then we described it. That is the first goal, description. Now, let us move on to the second goal, that is prediction. Second goal is prediction. Here the researcher is going to forecast, that is to predict the behavior. So, in the first goal you described it, you understood the behavior, then you described it, now you will forecast or predict the behavior. So, the main aim of conducting research is to predict the behavior in future and then we can modify that behavior. So, in this goal we are going to, or the researcher will be able to predict when the behavior is going to occur in future, or how this behavior is occurring, what are the causes of that behavior, so that you can modify that behavior in future. When you can predict, then you can modify that particular behavior. Suppose you are studying about the behavior related to smoking habits, and then you will study, you will do the research, then you will analyze, will collect the data, will analyze, and then you will be able to understand what are the factors that cause that particular behavior, then you can modify the particular behavior. So, that is prediction. You can forecast, you can predict the behavior. In future. And another example about this study habits, we can relate. Suppose a child is giving or devoting more time in study, then we can predict that that particular child will score good marks in the exam because she given more time in study. So, like that we can predict the behavior. So, that is the second goal, prediction. Now, let us move on to the third goal, that is explanation. Our third goal is explanation. That means the causal factors, that is the causal factors. Psychologists are interested in knowing the factors that make the behavior occur. They give more importance in the factors that are the cause of the behavior, or it is also called as antecedent behaviors. Antecedent factors. Or we can say determinants. That is the conditions that led to a particular behavior, that are called as antecedent factors or determinants of behavior, the causal factors. So the researcher tries to explain the causal factors or the determinants or antecedent factors, that the conditions that led to a particular behavior here. That is the third goal, explanation. And now we are moving to the fourth goal, that is control. So you got a topic, then you researched on it, you collected data, you analyzed it, explained it. Now you can control the particular behavior. As we discussed earlier, you do research mainly for modifying some behaviors, right? Some negative behaviors we can modify. So by knowing the causal factors or antecedent factors or determinants of behavior, we can control. Now you know when this behavior is going to occur, then you can control the behavior here. Control behavior by controlling the determinants or antecedent factors. Suppose, for example, you are studying about smoking habit. Now the psychologists know when that particular person will smoke, what are the causes of that particular behavior. Then you can control that particular factors, that causal factors, and then you can control that behavior. And this control not only means reducing some behaviors, it also the control refers to three things. Control refers to three things. One is making a particular behavior happen. Then the second one, reducing it. And then the third one, enhancing it. So controlling refers to three things: making a particular behavior happen, reducing it, and controlling it. So usually when we heard about controlling some behavior, we will go for this reducing that behavior, but it is also enhancing or making particular behavior happen. Suppose in case of happiness, you are already happy, but you need to increase your happiness. Then what you can find the causal factors that makes you happy, or the factors that make you happy, and you can control the particular behavior, and you can increase your happiness in your life. So that is the fourth goal, control. Now last goal of psychological inquiry is application. So once the research conclusion is drawn after the various methods of data collection, and you have researched on it and you analyze the data, now you can apply your studies in real life. So here the last goal is application. Here you apply your knowledge you gain through the research in the real life. That is the last goal. What is it? Application. So these are the 5 goals that of inquiry in psychology. First one, description, then prediction, explanation, control and application. Now let us move on to our next topic, that is steps in conducting scientific research. Steps in conducting scientific research. There are 4 steps in conducting scientific research. First one, conceptualizing a problem. Second one, collecting data. Third one, drawing conclusions. And the fourth one is revising research conclusions. Now let us discuss one by one. First one, conceptualizing a problem. So we need to follow some steps when you do some psychological inquiry or scientific research. So there are 4 steps. Now we are discussing one by one. The first one is conceptualizing a problem. So in this step, this is exactly same as description. It is exactly same as description. As a research, we are trying to identify what we are going to study, or what we are going to which topic we are going to study in that particular research. Exactly same as description. Suppose I am interested in learning about an aggressive behavior, then which leads to violence. Maybe I want to know about how children become violent when they watch violent TV programs, television programs. Then conceptualizing a problem includes selecting the topic. So first of all, you need to select the topic you want to research on. Then you need to make a research statement. Suppose in case of studying about the violent behavior, I will make a research statement like this: to study the relation between exposure to media and This is an example talking about the violent behavior in students or children. I can write the research statement like this: to study the relation between exposure of media and aggressive behavior. This is my research statement. So first one, the selecting the topic, you need to first select the topic which we are going to study on. Then you need to do or to prepare or make a research statement. And next step is to view the past research. To view the past researches. Here you can compare, you can take your own experiences and then you can compare with the past researches. Many researchers might have done earlier regarding the same topic. Then you can compare or you can go through the past researches, what the researches that have been done earlier. Then you can, if you want, you can compare with your personal experiences also. So after the selecting topic, then research, making research statement, then you will do view the past researches, and next then you will make or you will form a hypothesis. What is hypothesis? A tentative explanation on that particular solution or problem. Hypothesis, tentative explanation. So here hypothesis can be maybe right or sometimes wrong also. So it is not sure that it should be right hypothesis, it may be wrong also. For in the case of this aggressive behavior in children, my hypothesis is that exposure to TV makes children aggressive. So this is my hypothesis here. So in this first step, in first steps of conceptualizing a problem, it involves selecting the topic, then making the research statement, then view the past researches, hypothesis. You will make a hypothesis, form a hypothesis. So these are the things which involves in the first step, conceptualizing a problem. Let us move on to the next step, that is collecting data. Second step is collecting data. Collecting data. So once you have conceptualized the problem in a scientific manner, in a manner which is having step by step description, now we are trying to collect the data through samples. We'll collect the data through samples, or any we'll use any methods of collecting data. So this collecting data, this step requires taking decisions about the following 4 aspects. So this steps involves taking decision on 4 aspects. One is participants in the study. Now the second one is methods of data collection. Third one, tools to be used in research. Fourth one is procedure of data collection. So this collecting data requires taking decisions on four aspects. One is participants in the study, second one methods of data collection, then tools to be used in research, then fourth one is procedure of data collection. Let us see one by one. First one, participants in the study. Here you have to decide the which collection of participants, or you can say collection of or you can say subjects. Which collection of participants or subjects you are going to take for this particular study. It can be children, adolescents, or college students, or any employers or teachers, etc. Any participants you can study. So you have to decide, or you have to specify which participants you are going to, which collection of participants you are going to use in this particular research. So that is participants in the study. You have to take decision on which collection of participants you are going to study on this research. Now the second one is methods of data collection. Methods of data collection. So which method you are going to use to collect the data? It can be experimental method, or observation method. So any kind of method. So we have to decide which method you are going to study here. Are you going to observe that particular participant, or you are going to call them in a particular lab or doing experiment? So you have to decide on the method, which method you are going to use for this particular study or research. Now the third one is tools to be used in research. What are tools? Which tools are you using? Maybe you are going to take an interview of the participants, then you have to prepare an interview schedule. Then this interview schedule is your tool. Or you are conducting some projective test or psychological test for this research, then that projective or test or psychological test is your tool. Or you are going to ask them itself to report their behavior, then you are using self-report tool. So you have to decide here which tool you are going to use for this particular research. Now the fourth one, the procedure of data collection. You have to decide which the procedure you are going to use for this particular research, or how you are going to collect the data. So these are the four things, four decisions that requires for this, or includes in this collecting data, the second step. So that's it, collecting data. Now the third step, that is drawing conclusions. Third step is drawing conclusion. So whatever the data you have collected using different methods like observation method, experimental method, etc., you will have to analyze that data with using statistical procedures. You will have to analyze the data using statistical procedures. So this analysis can be done through graphical representation like pie chart, or bar diagram, etc. So you can use this statistical procedures like pie chart, bar diagram, etc. for analyzing the data. So and its purpose is to verify your hypothesis. Purpose of analyzing data, purpose is to verify your hypothesis. Verify your hypothesis which you had given earlier, and then you can draw the conclusions accordingly. So that is drawing conclusion. You will analyze the data using some statistical procedures like pie chart, bar diagram, etc. The purpose of analyzing the data is to verify your hypothesis that you had given earlier, and then you can analyze the data and draw conclusion. So the last step is revising research conclusion. Why do you need to revise the research conclusion? So suppose whatever the conclusion you have derived through your research has not verified our hypothesis, then you have to change the hypothesis, and then you will have to make alternative hypothesis. Change hypothesis. If not verified, you will have to change the hypothesis if the conclusion is not verified, or you have to make the alternative hypothesis. Then you will have to follow the steps from the first itself. You have to collect data, you have to select topic, you have to make another hypothesis, analyze. So all these steps you have to follow again using the alternative hypothesis. So you have to follow the procedures or steps again according to the alternative hypothesis, and then you have to reanalyze the data, use this statistical procedures. Then again you will verify one new hypothesis which we have made by revising the data. So this is the revising research conclusion. If any changes are required, we have to make that changes here. We have to make the, or we have to prepare or make another hypothesis, and we will follow the same procedures. So these are the steps to be followed when you conduct a scientific research. Conceptualizing a problem, it includes selecting the topic, then making research statement, then view the past researches, and again what else, hypothesis, forming hypothesis. Then collecting the data includes which topic or which through samples we will collect data, and 4 decisions. It requires 4 decisions on this as 4 aspects. Participants, we have to decide participants of study, methods of data collection, which method you are using, tools to be studied, then procedure of data collection, and the next step, the third step, conclusion data. We have to analyze the data using statistical procedures, then revising the research conclusion. If our conclusion or hypothesis is not verified, you have to prepare alternative hypothesis, and we will have to follow the procedures once again. Okay, so these are the steps in conducting research. These are the 2 topics which we are discussing today. Goals of psychological enquiry. Which are the goals? Description, prediction, explanation, control, and application are the 5 goals. Then the steps of conducting research. Thank you.